Santiago de Cuba is the second largest city of Cuba and capital city of Santiago de Cuba Province in the southeastern area of the island, some 870 kilometers southeast of the Cuban capital of Havana. The municipality extends over 1,023.8 square kilometers and contains the communities of Antonio Maceo, Bravo, Castillo Duany, Daiquirí, El Caney, El Cobre, El Cristo, Guilera, Leyte Vidal, Moncada and Siboney. Historically, Santiago de Cuba has long been the second most important city on the island after Havana, and still remains the second largest. It is on a bay connected to the Caribbean Sea and is an important seaport. In 2004, the city of Santiago de Cuba had a population of about 509,143 people. History: Santiago de Cuba was the fifth village founded by Spanish conquistador Diego Velázquez de Cuellar on July 25, 1515. In 1516, the settlement was destroyed by fire, and was immediately rebuilt. This was the starting point of the expeditions led by Juan de Grijalba and Hernán Cortés to the coasts of Mexico in 1518, and in 1538 by Hernando de Soto's expedition to Florida. The first cathedral was built in the city in 1528. From 1522 until 1589, Santiago was the capital of the Spanish colony of Cuba. The city was plundered by French forces in 1553, and by British forces under Christopher Miles in 1662. The city experienced an influx of French and British immigrants in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, many coming from Haiti after the Haitian slave revolt of 1791. This added to the city's eclectic cultural mix, already rich with Spanish and African culture. It was also the location where Spanish troops faced the main defeat at San Juan Hill on July 1, 1898, during the Spanish-American War. After capturing the surrounding hills, General William Rufus Shafter laid siege to the city. Spain later surrendered to the United States after Admiral William T. Sampson destroyed the Spanish Atlantic Fleet just outside Santiago's harbor on July 3, 1898. Cuban poet, writer, and national hero José Martí is buried in Cementerio Santa Efigenia. Pope Francis visited Cuba in 2015. Role in the Cuban Revolution. Santiago was also the home of the revolutionary hero, Frank País. On July 26, 1953, the Cuban Revolution began with an ill-prepared armed attack on the Moncada barracks by a small contingent of rebels led by Fidel Castro. Shortly after this disastrous incident, País began talking with students and young working people informally, drawing around him what became an extremely effective urban revolutionary alliance. This developed into highly organized cells coordinating a large-scale urban resistance that became instrumental in the success of the Cuban Revolution. País group prepared carefully, accruing weapons, collecting money, collecting medical supplies. They published a cheap newsletter that reported news that criticized the government, attempting to counter Batista's censorship. In the summer of 1955, País organization merged with Castro's July 26 movement. País became the leader of the new organization in Oriente Province, though 2 years later he was betrayed to the police and was shot after his capture. On January 1, 1959, Fidel Castro proclaimed the victory of the Cuban Revolution from a balcony on Santiago de Cuba's City Hall. Culture. Santiago de Cuba was the hometown of poet José María Heredia. It houses a museum that displays the extensive art collection of the Bacardi family. Santiago de Cuba is well known for its cultural life. Some of Cuba's most famous musicians, including Compe Segundo, Ibrahim Ferrer and Eliades Ochoa and Trova composer Nico Saquito, were born in the city or in one of the villages surrounding it. They have contributed to the typical, country-like music of the city. Furthermore, Santiago de Cuba is well known for its traditional dances, most notably son, from which salsa has been derived, and guaguango, which is accompanied by percussion music only. The city is also well known for its carnival, always celebrated in July, which is the reason Castro chose July 26 to enter undetected into the city to assault the Moncada barracks. During Carnival, traditional conga music is played in the streets on a traditional pentatonic trumpet, called the trompeta. A relatively high number of residents of the city adhere to Afro-Cuban religions, most notably Santeria. The city hosts an important community of descendants from Haitian immigrants from the 19th century. Some aspects of the religious Vodun heritage of the city can be traced back to this community. In the city there are multiple architectural styles, from Baroque to neoclassical. Of special interest are the wooded parks, the steep streets, colonial buildings with huge windows and crowded balconies. Preserved historical treasures include the first home in the Americas, the first cathedral in Cuba, Cobre mine, the first copper mine opened in the Americas, and the first Cuban museum. World Heritage Site. The local citadel of San Pedro de la Roca is inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List as the most complete, best preserved example of Spanish-American military architecture, based on Italian and Renaissance design principles. World Heritage Biosphere Reserve. The Bay Canal Park was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage Biosphere Reserve list in 1987. Geography. Santiago de Cuba is located in the southeast of the island at coordinates 20 degrees 01, 17, 42 and 75 degrees 49, 45, 75 inches. Some 870 kilometers of the capital, Havana. Historically, Santiago de Cuba has been the second largest city in Cuba, behind Havana. It features a bay connected to the Caribbean Sea and is a major port. The municipality of Santiago de Cuba, whereas its capital city, is the most populated of Cuba. The city has been growing at the bottom of the bay and is surrounded on land by the Sierra Maestra. This determines the hot and humid climate of the place. The landscapes features rich composition of urban elements, natural and marine at the same time. It has an irregular offset, which contributed to the development of an urban setting where the avenues and streets are steeper descent. Climate. Under the Köppen climate classification, Santiago de Cuba has a tropical savanna climate with no significant wet and dry periods through the year. Demographics. In 2004, the municipality of Santiago de Cuba had a population of 494,337. With a total area of 1,024 square kilometers. It has a population density of 482.8 per square kilometers. Transportation. Santiago is served by Antonio Maceo Airport. Cubana.The aviation connects the city with Havana, Montreal, Madrid and Parasolí. Other airlines connect the city with the rest of the Caribbean and North America. The public transit in the city, like Havana, is carried out by two divisions, Omnibus Metropolitanos and Metrobus. The Metrobus serves the inner-city urban area, with a maximum distance of 20 kilometers. Omnibus Metropolitanos connects the adjacent towns and municipalities in the metropolitan area with the city center, with a maximum distance of 40 kilometers. Ferrocarriles to Cuba Railways and Astro intercity buses connect the city with Havana's Central Railway Station and with most other main cities of Cuba. The main railway station, also known as General Senen Casas, is an important hub of the national railways. Located in city center, near the harbor, was completely rebuilt in 1997. The city of Santiago is also crossed by the Carretera Central Highway and by the southern section of the A1 motorway, largely unbuilt, that will link it with Havana as for the final project. Schools. The main tertiary education institution is the University of Santiago de Cuba. Natives and residents. Desian as television, film actor, producer and band leader. Emilio Bacardi, industrialist and philanthropist. Giselle Danger Mercadiers, educator, homeless advocate educator. Orestes Estrade, professional baseball player. Emilio Estefan, music producer and husband of singer Gloria Estefan. Silvina Fabas, National Dance Award recipient of 2014 and principal dancer of the Conjunto Folclórico Nacional. Ibrahim Ferrer, musician. Cindo Garay, musician. Jose Maria Heredia y Heredia, poet. Pancho Herrera, professional baseball player. Alberto Wantorena, Olympic gold medalist, 1976 Olympics. Fies on Love, television, film actor, comedian. Conan, professional wrestler. Olga Gillett, singer. La Lupe, salsa singer. Antonio Maceo Grajales, independence hero. Rita Marley, singer and wife of reggae singer Bob Marley. Jose Marti, independence hero, interred in Santiago de Cuba. Miguel Matamoros, musician. Elides Ochoa, musician. Frank Pais, revolutionary and urban organizer for the 26th of July movement. Richard Perez Peña, New York Times reporter. George Reyes, author. Marco Rizzo, pianist, composer and arranger. Mary Blanca Sabazaloma, feminist and journalist. Esteban Salas y Castro, Baroque composer. Nico Saquito, musician and trova composer. Compe Segundo, musician. International relations. Twin towns. Sister cities. Santiago de Cuba is twinned with Diadema, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Naples, Italy. Oakland, California, United States. Rosario, Argentina. Bandar Seri Begawan, Brunei.